in this video we are going to discuss about the Higher Education Commission of India, or HECI, which is actually coming under the New Education Policy 2020. And in order to understand this concept more in detail, we'll be just taking a question from NTA UGC NET December 2022. So we'll just focus on that question and then we'll consider this particular Higher Education Commission of India in detail, and especially we'll be focusing on the 4 important verticals, independent verticals that are coming under this particular commission. So here you have the question. According to NEP 2020, the first vertical of Higher Education Commission of India, or HECI, will be the, and we have the options: National Accreditation Council, National Education Regulatory Council, General Education Council, and finally Higher Education Grants Council. Okay, so in order to understand which is the first vertical that is associated with Higher Education Commission of India, we'll be first looking at this HECI, then also these 4 important verticals that are associated with it. So HECI, or Higher Education Commission of India, will be set up as a single umbrella body for the entire higher education, excluding medical and legal education. Public and private higher education institutions will be governed by the same set of norms for regulation, accreditation, and academic standards. So according to NEP 2020, HECI, or Higher Education Commission of India, will be set up as a single umbrella body which includes the entire higher education system, and it will exclude medical and legal education, that is mentioned there. And due to this kind of an approach, or in order to, or as a result of creating this kind of a single umbrella body, public as well as private higher education institutions in the country will be governed under the same set of norms in the different areas that are associated with higher education, which includes regulation, accreditation, as well as academic standards. So according to the draft of the NEP 2020, the regulatory system of higher education will ensure that the distinct function of regulation, accreditation, funding and academic standard setting will be performed by distinct, independent and empowered bodies, and these distinct, independent and empowered bodies can be called as the four verticals that are associated with HECI. So as we already said, HECI will be, it is a single regulatory system of higher education, and it will be focusing on the distinct functions of the higher education system, which includes regulation, accreditation, funding as well as academic standard setting. And we'll be having four different distinct independent verticals, or four different distinct independent bodies, in order to focus on the various or the distinct functions that are associated with higher education. So as we already said, we have four different verticals to deal with the different functions of higher education, and the four verticals which comes under HECI are mentioned here. So we have National Higher Education Regulatory Council, then we have General Education Council, then Higher Education Grants Council, and also National Accreditation Council. And also with these different independent bodies or this different distinct verticals, we have just mentioned their functions as well. So National Higher Education Regulatory Council for regulation, then we have General Education Council for standard setting, and Higher Education Grants Council for funding, and also National Accreditation Council for accreditation. So these four different verticals are these different or distinct independent bodies which comes under HECI, focuses on the distinct functions of the entire higher education system. So if you just coming back to the question that we have already seen in the beginning of this session, it goes like this. According to NEP 2020, the first vertical of Higher Education Commission of India will be the, and if you just consider the options that are given here, we can see that all these options are, or it is basically four different verticals. These four options are four different verticals that comes under HECI, and from these options, which is the first vertical that we have discussed? Obviously, that is option B, National Education Regulatory Council. So the right answer for this question is option B. So we need to focus one more thing based on this question here. If you just consider the question and the answer we have taken as true, or the right answer, it is B, and it is mentioned as National Education Regulatory Council. So this was the option which was given in NTA's official or in that question paper, and they have taken that option as the answer. But you need to understand one thing, the full title or the full name of this vertical is National Higher Education Regulatory Council. Okay, so please do remember that in the question or in the option it was just given as National Education Regulatory Council, but really the expansion is National Higher Education Regulatory Council. So please do remember this anyway. If you just focus on this question, the right answer, the appropriate answer that you can choose from the options is option B for sure. Okay, so in this session, we have just focused on HECI, which is actually a part, or we have discussed it under NEP 2020. So the National Education Policies of India is a very important area that you need to focus. So the national policies which came in 1968, 1986, and also the NEP 2020 are very important. And specifically, if you just focus on the recent exams, we are getting a lot of questions from NEP 2020. So make sure that you have an idea about the major recommendations that are associated with NEP 2020, and also the various commissions or various bodies that are mentioned there. And also you need to focus on the NEP 2020 in various perspectives, which are what are the initiatives that are associated with school education, higher education, teacher education. So all these aspects are very important, and HECI which also comes under this perspective that is associated, or this perspectives that are associated with NEP 2020. So I hope this video will be really helpful. So this kind of a very systematic, strategic approach is a very important thing that you have to focus on when you're preparing for NTA UGC NET paper 1. So for that, if you need any assistance from our side, we are happy to help you. And if you know, or if you want to know more about our courses, we have online and offline courses available here. So to know more about our courses, you can just contact the number that is given in the description box. So thanks for watching and happy learning.